I'm Dr. Joseph Butler, and if there is one sentence I hear more often than almost any other from my patients after 60, it is this: I finally retired, and now I don't know what to do with myself. Sometimes it's said with a laugh, as if it's a small problem. Sometimes it's said with a tight throat, as if something inside is quietly breaking. And very often, it's said with surprise, because most people spend decades imagining retirement as freedom, rest, and relief. So when retirement arrives and instead brings confusion, emptiness, or even fear, many seniors assume something must be wrong with them. Let me say this clearly from the start. You are not broken. Retirement is one of the biggest life transitions the human brain and body can experience, and it has the power to reshape your health, mentally, physically, socially, and cognitively, depending on how that transition unfolds. In medicine, we talk constantly about risk factors, but we don't talk enough about life shifts. And retirement is a massive life shift. It acts like a magnifying glass. It magnifies what was already strong in your life: your relationships, your interests, your routines, your sense of purpose. But it also magnifies what was already fragile: loneliness, stress, depression, poor sleep, inactivity, chronic pain, or the feeling of becoming invisible. Retirement itself is not automatically good or bad for your health. What it does is remove structure. And structure is not a small thing. Structure is medicine. It tells your brain when to wake up, when to move, when to eat, when to connect, when to rest, and when to feel useful. When you were working, whether in an office, a store, a school, a factory, your own business, or caring for family, you had built-in anchors. You had a reason to get out of bed. You had places to go. You had people who expected you. Even if you disliked parts of your job, work gave your life rhythm. The human nervous system adapts to rhythm. When that rhythm suddenly disappears, the body can experience it as a kind of shock. I've had patients tell me, the first 2 weeks felt like a vacation. Then I started sleeping later. Then I stopped getting dressed properly. Then I realized I hadn't spoken to anyone all day. That slide often begins with something that seems harmless: idle rest for a while. But in geriatrics, we watch carefully for the moment when rest becomes withdrawal, and withdrawal becomes isolation. Social isolation and loneliness are not just emotions. They affect real health outcomes. When daily social contact disappears, coworkers, customers, people you used to see regularly, some retirees feel the loss immediately. Others don't notice it until months later, when the calendar is empty and the phone rarely rings. Human connection protects the aging brain and body. It helps regulate stress hormones, supports better sleep, encourages movement, and preserves identity. Without it, health can quietly erode. Now, retirement does not affect everyone the same way. Some people feel less lonely after retiring. They leave stressful work environments, regain time, and reconnect with family or friends. For others, retirement increases the risk of loneliness, depending on their circumstances, support systems, and health. The honest medical truth is that retirement can go in either direction. The outcome depends far less on the act of retiring and far more on what replaces the role, routine, and identity that work once provided. This brings us to one of the most underestimated consequences of retirement: loss of identity. For decades, many people defined themselves by what they did: teacher, builder, nurse, manager, provider, caregiver. Even if you didn't love the title, it answered a deep question: who am I in the world? When retirement happens, that answer disappears overnight, but your nervous system doesn't update instantly. Many seniors tell me they feel unnecessary or left behind. They notice that the world keeps moving without them. That feeling can quietly evolve into depression, And depression in older adults doesn't always look like sadness. It often looks like fatigue, irritability, changes in sleep, loss of appetite, reduced movement, or emotional numbness. There is also a psychological trap many retirees fall into, the belief that they must finally stop doing anything productive because they've earned rest. And rest is important. But the human brain is not designed for a life without purpose. We are built to solve problems, contribute, connect, and feel progress. When progress disappears, the brain can interpret it as decline, even when the body is still capable. People need something to get up for. Without that, motivation fades, days blur together, and health behaviors slowly slip. Retirement also changes how the body moves. Most people underestimate how much physical activity is built into working life. Walking, standing, lifting, climbing stairs, transitioning between tasks. After retirement, daily movement often drops sharply. When movement decreases, stiffness, joint pain, weight gain, balance problems, poor sleep, and low mood often follow. Consistent movement is one of the most powerful tools we have to protect physical and mental health after retirement. It does not need to be intense. It needs to be regular. Sleep is another area where retirement quietly reshapes health. Without a fixed schedule, many retirees begin staying up later, waking later, napping more, and spending more time indoors with less exposure to natural light. This can disrupt circadian rhythms, which play a major role in mood, cognition, inflammation, and metabolic health. The brain thrives on predictable signals. Retirement removes those signals unless you intentionally rebuild them. Many seniors ask me, can retirement make my memory worse? The answer is nuanced. Cognitive health after retirement is not determined by retirement itself. It is influenced by what fills your days afterward. If your days become smaller, quieter, less stimulating, and more isolated, the brain receives fewer reasons to stay sharp. If your days remain mentally engaged, socially connected, and physically active, the brain can remain remarkably resilient, even into advanced age. This is why I do not want you to hear this message as fear. I want you to hear it as agency. Retirement gives you time, the most valuable resource you have. That time can either shrink your world or expand it. It can be invested in connection, movement, purpose, and learning, or it can quietly slip away into isolation and inactivity. Many retirees tell me they don't miss the job itself. They miss being needed. They miss contributing. They miss feeling useful. In medicine, we often talk about successful aging, but a better term may be meaningful aging. When people feel they matter, they care for themselves better. They keep appointments. They stay active. They reach out when they struggle. When people feel they no longer matter, neglect often follows. I've seen what I call the silent retiree, someone who did everything right financially and responsibly, yet slowly fades socially and emotionally. They stop attending gatherings. They stop calling others because they don't want to bother anyone. They feel ashamed that they aren't enjoying retirement the way they think they should. If this sounds familiar, let me tell you something important. Nothing is wrong with you. You are responding to a major life transition. And transitions require rebuilding, not just resting. Rebuilding means creating a new structure. It means consistent wake times, exposure to daylight, daily movement, regular social contact, and at least one activity that challenges your mind. Not for perfection, for protection. It means treating your health, mental and physical, as something worth designing. It also means watching for warning signs, persistent withdrawal, loss of interest in things you once enjoyed, major changes in sleep or appetite, feelings of hopelessness, using food or alcohol to numb emotions. Depression and anxiety are not normal consequences of aging. and they are treatable at any age. You deserve support. Retirement is not an ending. It is a redesign. When that redesign is done with intention, powerful improvements can happen. Blood pressure can improve. Sleep can stabilize. Relationships can deepen. Health goals that were postponed for years can finally receive attention. Purpose can return in new forms: mentoring, volunteering, learning, creating, caring, and contributing in ways that fit your current stage of life. If you retired and now feel unsteady, you are not weak. You are human. Treat this phase of life with respect. Protect your connections like medicine, because they are. Keep your body moving, your mind engaged, and your sense of purpose alive. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to write in the comments, "I retired, and what I miss most is..." Your honesty may help someone else who is struggling silently. And if you'd like more conversations like this, please subscribe to the channel. I'm Dr. Joseph Butler, and I'll see you in the next video.
Join us on Healthcare Seniors.
Amen. Be part of our community and watch the next video.